Hi, folks. My name is Girish Bally, the host for Back to Basics. We are live today. An amazing guest that we're going to have today, and we're going to chit chat with Jose today, and we're going to talk about automation. We're talking about everything else. But there's one thing that we are going to be definitely talking about is how to make our lives easy when it comes to automation. Now, yes, there's one thing that automation definitely scares the shit out of me, which is yes, it is too much confusion, too much a complex city, but how do we make that simple and fun? And that's what we're trying to do today with Jose on the call today. And let's bring Jose here. And Jose, how are you? And thanks for coming to Back to Basics.
Doing wonderful. Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you again for coming here. So before we get into the automation talk for today, what is back to basic mean to you?
For me, back to basics is keep it simple. How to go back to the little things that we miss and all this. And this is where the automation side kind of helps. But
Yeah,
um, all the little things that we normally see in our daily lives, all those assumptions that we make that we don't really pay attention to now, and everybody just skips over that. When you focus on those little things, going back to the basics, you actually get that full experience, that full immersion of something that you're doing. So for me, I think it's a very good point to see what are all the little things that we would always take care of that make things great.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jose, for coming on the show and making this brighter for me. Definitely honored for you to be here. But let me ask you this from a consumer point of view. When we first think of automation, the first thing comes in my mind is how do I turn on my light? How do I turn off my light? How do you turn on the TV, turn off the TV? Is that a right thing or is that two different items here?
It can be. So automation is taken a broad thing depending on the industry. Like you say,
Yeah.
it could be the auto switches as you walk in, the sensoring lights. Your TV could be timer set. It could be different stuff. Your plants, your stuff, your environment. You could really use this on every aspect of your life. It
Hmm.
just matters. What I focus on is how do we use it in business? How do we use it on the things that keep us busy all day? Because we spend most of our time, at work all day, doing different stuff, and plus we get to come home and have some other things. So I
Of
like to
course.
focus on how we could get our time 100% back when we're busy.
Yeah. Thank you. We're going to get into the business side, but one more thing about the consumer point. What do you think, or what automation do you feel that it's resolving the consumer's automation's life, their lifestyle?
That's helping them.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, in that sense, the way we keep track of stuff. Let's think of the watches, our health, different aspects that we put in our personal life that simplify some. The way we consume electricity in the sense with the sensor lights, the way we do
Mm,
stuff. All these things are meant in place to remind us, to
mm.
help us not forget of things that we need to do or common things that we happen. I mean, when you think of automation, you could take it even in a personal perspective. Your cars are starting to do certain things. There's some self-driving now, some different
Yeah.
things that are all a part of it that can better your life. And your daily morning, when you wake up with your routine, your kids, the way you get things going, the way you could have your coffee go right away if you're a coffee person, little things like that. I mean, it's just used across all parts of your life, and I think that
Yeah.
simplifies it.
Definitely. I mean, from a consumer point of view, whatever makes your life easier, I think that should be the name of the game. Obviously, I mean, this is just my 2 cents. Everyone's thought process is different, but don't go overboard when it comes to automation
Oh
for
yeah,
your home. Do as much as you can to make your life simple. So thank you again,
yeah.
Jose, for explaining that. From the business side, before we get into the business side, there is a question that someone is asking: how do we get into automation as a career? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? How do we start? What are the things that we need to do in there?
As a career, so that's a very broad question
Yeah.
because there's so many different industries, but inside each industry on every aspect there is a degree of automation, whether it's going to be some kind of um, programming that needs to happen, where there's going to be some kind of system. It can be a simple thing as putting the right people in place as to enjoy the experience. So let's think of a haunted house as an example. That would
Mm.
actually have to have all the right people coordinated to make that whole experience. But I'm joining it as a career on the business side. Robotics has gone a lot right now. Everything when it comes to the house security, when it comes to the house experience, your fridges, your everything's all getting. I would tell you, depending on the career choice, there is always a branch of it that needs to be automated. In that, I do want to share a quick quote that I heard about this. That says, "Systematize the predictable so you can humanize the exceptional."
Hmm.
And what I mean by that, I love that quote because it we focus on putting all these things in place, and then we're like robots. We're walking around with all these different
Mm.
the reminders and everything popping up, and you see us caught up in our phone and caught up everywhere. Remember that these things are reminders so you could have a great experience, so you could actually enjoy part of your time, and you could actually enjoy time with your friends or whatever that may be. So
Yeah.
just use those to simplify that
Yeah,
in that
absolutely.
sense.
Jose, thank you again for explaining that. So, is this right that the bigger picture is automation, but then there's small umbrellas inside it? And it depends on which angle you want to go. One, it could be automation for robotics, the other could be for development, developing stuff. And there are a few other ones
Yeah.
too. Is that a right statement?
Yes, they're endless. I mean, the reason it's such a broad question too. Think about it in a connection like this. We have an automated response that reminds us of our appointment, that tells us get ready. Here's the link. Here's those. That's a process that we go through just to set up a simple appointment. That is
Mm,
a type of automation. So
mm.
how do we set those different aspects up in our business? Even on the delegation, when we receive different aspects, different our recordings, who edits it, all that stuff can now be automated.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jose, thank you again. And by the way, guys, just an FYI, I want to give you a little secret. Yes, this is a podcast, but me and Jose met through automation. We actually scheduled ourselves to meet each other. Then we scheduled again in order to meet today live and doing an automation going live with all these platforms all at the same time. So isn't that automation too? So think about that for
Yes.
a second. I mean, these small things do count. Am I right, Jose? I mean, think about that,
Yeah.
right? What we did.
Yes. Of course. This is a great example of how you're using it in your business. I use it the same way. All my meetings, everything is preset. We could actually even set automation to prep these meetings, to prep the next call. You could set out videos, reminders right before the calls. This is what you could expect. These are to set the expectations, and also the summary at the end and how to share it with your friends. There's so many different ways that you could use it to enhance your experience.
Yeah, thank you again, Jose, for explaining that. When you and I met a few weeks back and we talked about a little of automation, it felt like that I was in the candy store talking about automation because I'm all about automation. Yes, not too intensively, but we did talk about the basics of it. So that's why I brought you in this call today, and I wanted to understand from your point of view, from a business point of view, of your company, of what you are doing from an automation point, and what problems you're trying to resolve in your company. There, can you explain that if you don't mind?
Yes, of course. So I founded Fastlane Marketing, and what I've focused on, we use a software as a business SaaS tool
Hmm.
that allows us to really set up all the back end of the business. So what I mean by that is what happens in the background when you have your appointment set, your booking meetings, your emails that go out, whether it be a birthday wish for somebody or just something to a review request to actually get their experience to actually improve your business.
Hmm.
Whenever it comes to your websites, all the links that you put in it, if it's scheduling stuff on your social channels, as this, we take care of all those different little things that you do in your business in the back end so everybody could have a full experience. A restaurant, as an example, could have you sign up for maybe a birthday reward, something as an appetizer or something like that, but how they keep you informed of the amazing deals they got going. And it matters on what industry. You could go back to a coach or a speaker. the way they set up their appointments on stage, the way they have all the notifications out for the sponsors, for the speakers and for the audience, all the different experience that you take everybody through. That's what we mainly focus on, is setting up that experience.
Hmm.
One more that I would like to share is we did an experience for an Airbnb
Hmm.
where we called it the concierge experience, because they set up the whole house as a full, instead of just booking on Airbnb, here's your keys, you get in the house.
Hmm.
We actually delivered little video stories at the beginning of their experience. Welcome to the island. This was in St. Croix. So
Hmm.
welcome to the island. In the fridge, we left this amazing recipe that was from our grandma, and
Hmm.
a treat, so they could have a new experience at the island. These are the different people that we can, the different experiences that you can now set up, and you could really take it endless. But what we're really trying to do is build that culture, the way your business shows up, the way people experience it, the way people feel about your business. Those are the little things that we put in the back end to make sure that everybody has a good experience.
Hmm.
Um, you could take it to one other aspect when it comes
Hmm.
to training and all your onboarding and all that, the different experience you do with your staff.
Hmm.
That is another way that we share that.
Hmm.
You could actually have an onboarding training for anybody that comes new to your company,
Hmm.
so they can know what are all the things they need to focus on, who are their superiors, who are the people that they're taking care of,
Hmm.
that they're delegating to. There's just endless possibilities of what you can do, but that's in a sense of what we have created. We create custom walkthroughs for the system that we create for the business, so they
Hmm.
always have that. The owner, once, like as an example, once he hires us, if he changes staff or team, he doesn't have to re-go show everybody how to do something. There's a
Sure.
whole training
Sure.
center built for them just on how to run the business.
So Jose, thank you again for explaining what you do and what the company does and how automation has kind of changed your lives and how you're changing other people's lives too and resolving an issue. So let me ask you a different way to do this, right? And explain to people in a basic way. Are we saying that there is a website and then you can start integrating that into that website and start channelizing all data and all triggers to get things done? Is that a right statement?
Yes, that is correct. So just here, I'll use that as a perfect example. Think of your website. That when somebody opts in on a form,
Hmm.
we control the back end. So if it's the top form, as an example, just the top form on your website,
Hmm.
um, there may be action takers. There may be early adopters, or in a sense, a kinesthetic person that jumps right into things. So we actually tag them and say, okay, they came in from the top button as an example. So now they're going to have an experience that says, hey, here's this, and it kind of goes after them a little bit, showing them what they want to see.
Hmm.
Where if they scroll down and they went to one of the bottom buttons, they're more analytical. So in this case, we will take them through another experience where we feed them more information, we give them a different experience. So any aspect of your business, if they reach out in a text message, you could actually respond. If they're speaking out to a lot of people, as an example here, you could do a
Hmm.
simple call to action and have somebody text you or DM you on Instagram or on Messenger a certain keyword, and then all your automation kicks off. Oh, you're interested in automation. So whenever you do that keyword, then it automatically enrolls them, gives them a gift, or something that you're offering out, and give them that information, and then now they're into your system. So we're data driven. So
Hmm.
every touch point, every message, everything that happens when people interact, we attach it to the contact.
Hmm.
So here's an example. If I text you and then you send me an email and then I
Hmm.
get a DM from you, all
Hmm.
those things would be, I'll see it in your timeline.
The
So I could
timeline.
follow up. Yeah, I could actually see. I could really follow you on your customer journey. I could follow
Hmm.
you where you're going, and it doesn't. It allows me to respect you as someone who's asking about a product, someone who's asking about my business,
Hmm.
someone who. So I'm not selling you something on an email and then I repeat the same offer on a text, and you're like, I already seen this. I'm
Of
just
course.
annoyed. Don't send me so many things.
Hmm.
And so those little touch points, this really allows us to make sure that we're fulfilling and we're reaching out at the right time. If
Hmm.
you tell us, I'm interested in something, but I'm not sure what, and I go, here, buy.
Hmm.
Um, you're like, whoa, I just wanted to know more information.
Hmm.
I wasn't paying attention to the data. I
Hmm.
say, what, instead of asking, what are you interested in?
Hmm.
What brought you here? What,
Of
you could
course.
really follow that journey. So every touch point and experience, where now it's online, if it's your website, if it's your social channels, all that stuff is where automation comes into place and how you could take it to that next level.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you again, Jose, to do that. But one second, let me just talk to my audience here. Guys, if you go to my website, right, and if you go to the section for contact, right, and then there's a section for newsletter, you can subscribe to my newsletter. That's an automation coming to me that you guys are listening and you want newsletter from me. That's a small automation that I'm doing. There are other ways that I'm doing for automation. Me scheduling all these live videos, going on all these different platforms, as I said earlier today, that's also another way of automation. Me turning off the light, turning on the light on a certain time, or watering my plants, that's another way of automation. So don't think that you are not doing automation. You don't even think that you're already doing automation. You're driving a car, that's also automation, right? From a different point of view. So those are the things that we're all talking about. But I think what Jose is talking about is more on the other side of things, the actual resolving issues, helping out customers like you, like me, all the call centers out in the world. So yeah, thank you again, Jose, for explaining that. You know, uh, this automation is very close to you. You and I, when we chatted, we talked about as to what was the trigger for you to start automation. From your platform. Can you explain that story, because that story was quite touching for me? So if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So this kind of happened. Well, it's been like 12 years now,
I
in a
know, I
sense.
know.
Time just flies. So I was working. I found before this, I worked in construction. I would actually every day go out to work and stuff, and I was working in construction on this project where it caused me to be away from my family a bit. My wife was in Long Beach, and I was in Indio, California, working at a casino. We were finishing all their high stakes poker area at the casino, and so I was living with the workers right there. We had a group of friends that were all living together, and I found myself working 70, 80 hours a week, just every day, going, trying to make things happen. And I thought that if I worked harder, if I worked more, I would get more. And at this time, my second daughter was born, and I would go home maybe every other weekend, maybe 2 weeks or something. I would go home and go get to see her, and see her for the weekend and come back to work. See her for the weekend, come back to work. And I did that for a while, to where I thought, okay, I'm doing everything, I'm making it, I'm working really hard. And they home was what my wife was staying with my father-in-laws and them at the time. And so one of the times I came home, I was just, all right, I've been working really hard. We're almost done with this project. And I came home and I reached my arms up. I
Mm,
see my daughter and I'm like, Mika, come on, come to daddy. And she was right there and she looked at me and she looked away. She looked at my dad, at my father in law, and she ran away from me. She was scared. She didn't know who I was. At
mm,
this point, I was happy she ran to him, but inside I felt this jealousy.
mm,
Wow, what is this all? Is it all worth it?
mm.
Because I became a stranger to my own daughter at this point.
Sure.
I wasn't there for there, so I'm like, why am I even doing all this? Why am I working so hard? Why am I, if I can't be where it matters most? Well, if this is what's going to happen, and as I was happy for him, I felt this jealousy, and I was like, this has to change. This is not a good way. This doesn't work for me.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the point? And I that's when I started um uh my new project. I'm like, hey, I got to create something. I got to do something in my life that actually is going to allow me to change. And so I figured, okay, time is my constraint. How do I get that back? So I
Mm,
started self-teaching myself on audiobooks, on lives, on marketing, on everything. How can I put things in place? But my number one goal is I want 100% control of my time. I want to
mm,
wake up. If I want to see my kids off to school, that
mm,
is the option. So how
mm,
can I do that? And that's what I focus on. So whenever I talk to new business owners or new people that are interested, I focus on what's consuming your time. What are all those repetitive tasks that you're doing? What are all the stuff that you feel like you have to get done, no matter
mm,
what? Can we
mm,
simplify that? Can we put
mm,
something in place? Can we put something that's going to take that load off of you, so you can actually have more time? I mean,
mm.
everybody values different things. I understand
Of
that,
course.
but let's give you the choice to focus on what's important to you, not I
Yeah.
have to do this.
You know, Jose,
So,
that story, the second time I'm hearing the story, or actually the third time because I've heard you in different podcasts also, it really gives me the goosebumps when I'm hearing this story of yours. So thank you again for explaining that, if you don't mind. Uh, you know, yes, we were talking about more advantages when it comes to automation. Okay. Now here's one disadvantage when someone did mention on the comments here. It does make you lazy, doesn't it? After all these automations that we're doing. So do you think that it's a good thing or a bad thing? Or do you think that too much is not good or too less is not good
mhm.
either? So what are your thoughts on that?
Perspective. So in this case, yes, we simplify things to where we can sit down and we don't do anything. But that is a choice we're making to relax or to be lazy in this
Mm,
case, because we don't have that. That comes down to our habits. In my case, because you have more time now, what are you choosing to do with it? But sometimes we forget that our habits are the ones that control us, that
yeah.
we actually fall back into that.
Mm,
So yes, in a sense, it can make you very lazy because you're like, oh, I don't have to do that no more. I took this
mm,
this load off my mind
mm,
and sit back. If you do that a few times, your body's going to say, oh, this is nice. I like this.
mm, mm,
And now we're not doing other things that we can be doing or should focus on. I mean, the reason why we went to school all the time, in a sense, not one of the just one of the reasons. The reason why we go to a job and all that, it keeps us busy. It keeps us on purpose. You hear a lot of people that want to get to retire, and they're like, "Well, I just don't have, you know." They need that sense of getting up, of going out and doing something. So look at your own habits. Do you need that sense, something to move you? Then
mm,
if you're going to save 1 hour here, what are you going to do with that hour? Are you going
mm,
to choose to play? Are you going to choose to go? Are you going to choose to invest it in something?
mm,
I would tell you to, if you save something with automation, now what can you do with that? What can you fill with it? It could be a healthier habit. It could be um, just a different habit. It could be an adventurous habit, something you want to go out. I just wanted to get a chance to go out and explore the city, explore my back alley, my yard, my community.
yeah.
It could
Yeah.
be contribute back.
Mm,
But yes, it can definitely get the best of us when we say, "Oh, I don't have to do that." And now I'm
that's
sitting
right.
here. I could probably start watching Netflix. Oh, it looks like I finished Netflix now. And we all had that experience.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is true. I mean, there's one more question, if you don't mind. So, I
of
know we
course,
talked about the career and we talked about the automation and what type of automation that we should be learning, but you gave different umbrellas, right? Now, it really depends on which umbrella you want to get into. But the question that someone is asking is that, is there any training classes that we can learn online? And I'm going to say YouTube is the way to go, or Udemy is the way to go. But what are your thoughts on other platforms to do that?
those are great platforms for doing that. I would encourage you to look at YouTube to play around so you could find, in a sense, your niche, your avenue, where you want to go with it. Because once you want, so here's an example. I used to build chatbots. That's a company called ManyChat. They have free trainings on how you could do all that. Google has their trainings on how you could do in that industry. They actually have job opportunities that will pay you to actually learn and do that aspect. So once you find your category, that was kind of broad, but once you find your category of what you want to learn the automation on,
Hmm,
most of the big companies all offer free trainings to get started, and then more advanced as required. If you're really serious about it, look at the job positions too of the companies that you want. Once you know your industry,
hmm,
and most of them will pay. They'll pay you to work, and they'll certify you along the way. They'll send you to school. They'll train you, or they'll actually teach you in that aspect. And
hmm.
reach out too if you have trouble finding that. Happy to answer questions in a way that I give you more guidance on what specifically you're looking for.
Yeah, thank you
in that
again, Jose.
aspect.
I might, I might pick your brain on automation if that's okay with you. So just
Of
like
course.
everyone else, but obviously, please be mindful when you do contact him. I don't want him to get slammed with phone calls, but email him or even linked him, on the message. And
Yeah.
I messaged him too many times, and he's quite responsive when it comes to these things. So, Jose, one more thing, if you don't mind, automation is the new thing now, or is it the old thing now, or are we learning more? So what are your thoughts on that?
So that's well part of a bigger picture. So right now, what I'm thinking is the futuristic side of things. We have, Web 3.0 coming out. We have all the new augmented reality worlds. This is all going to play a part in there. How you're going to set up the structure inside the new things coming up that are the metaverse coming out. As you experience all these things, there's going to be a certain degree that's required now. If you don't have all your links, all your stuff in place, all the things happening, it won't give everybody that full experience. So in a sense, I think that it's a core part of it because as we go into the these new eras or these new abilities, we're going to need to carry certain tools, certain things with us to give that everybody a full experience. We don't realize how automated things are. Here's an example: the banks. You could swipe your card anywhere.
Hmm.
All the transactions happen. You get a full report. If there's any mishap in one of those transactions, you could call and they fix it right away. You get an automated call for the most part. Says,
Hmm.
was this you? No,
Hmm.
it's taken care of. So it
Hmm.
saves time in a sense. But those are little things that are in place where when we come to a decentralized world, which is kind of what it seems things are going, a lot of those stuff is not in place. When you pay with crypto, it may not be as secure. Some are super secure, and is all if there's an error in transaction, there's not many ways to get it back. So there's so many new things and different ways that things you could take it, but I think it's kind of required in a bit.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again. I think Jason is mentioning some few words in there about your mission and what you are passionate about. So thank you again for
Oh,
that. So
definitely,
Jose,
Jason's an amazing person. Yeah.
yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you again, Jason, for those kind words to Jose and the show and supporting us. Before we leave today, Jose, how was your journey on Back to Basics? And do you have any last words for all the, I guess, the automation people who are automation lovers? Any comments and concerns to them?
For me, dive right in. It's so much fun. Of course, I'm the geek's geek, so I love the technical part. Plus, doing it. So dive right in, see what's going to work for you, test things out right away. Start testing, getting things going, so you could see that experience. And when it comes back to basics, I love what you're doing here with the show because a lot of times it's those basic things that we make the assumptions that we forget again that we don't put in place. The basic approach of just the humanizing of things, of experiencing things with people. Sometimes we get so caught up that it has to be this big, this complex thing, when the basic is what makes that experience. The basic thing is on, I would tell you, on every aspect, whether it be the experience, whether it be the way you set up your backgrounds, the way you set up everything. Very basic is one of the key components because it allows you to grow so much more from there. So
Mm.
definitely, back to the basics. We may have to learn a little bit. We may have to go through the steps, but follow those little steps and implement every little step as a way. Whether it be a way of this is, I want to know if this is going to work or it's not going to work. That way, you say, "Hey, I don't ever want to experience this part again," or "That was amazing." Make sure that everybody experiences that, but include those basic steps when it comes into your life or your new journey.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Jose, for coming here, and thank you for those kind words. I try my diligence to be doing what I'm doing here, and hopefully you're really acknowledging it. So thank you again for that, Jose. But thank you again for supporting me on this small podcast, and hopefully we'll keep on chatting with each other because it seems like, as I told you earlier in the show, I feel like a person in the candy store talking about automation or IT stuff, and I love to talk about IT stuff, and you're the right person for it. So thank you again for coming on the show.
Of course, happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again. So, guys, we spoke with Jose today and we talked about automation and we talked about automation of how it changes our lives in a good way or bad way. That's you to decide how you want to go and, architect your life. I mean, that's what I'm going to go and say. So, guys, as usual, as always, there's a quote of the day, and hopefully Jose will like this quote of the day. And the quote is, automation is good so long as you know exactly where to put the machine. Because you know what? That's what it is, right? Technically. So we just have to figure it out, put some a machine right in the corner of the house or maybe right on top of it. It's up to you how you want to go and channelize that. Now, as usual, as always, what do I always say at the end of my episode? Everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care, God bless, and keep on commenting on all the episodes that I've done today, including this one, because it helps me tremendously to understand from you guys that this show is a hit or a flop. That's up to you to decide. But there are three things, including this episode and every episode, according to me, it's a hit and always a hit, which is the content, the guest, and definitely the host. Guys, take care, God bless, and I will see you next week on Back to Basics. Guys, whoever is listening on live on Back to Basics, today we are supposed to be having a live at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for entrepreneurship, but the guest of ours is ill, so we will be canceling the show for today. But I did message on LinkedIn, and whoever is listening, please send good vibes to that person because she will be coming on my show in the month of May when she gets a lot better. So please, God bless, and please subscribe to all the channels and all the handlings that I have, and definitely too to subscribe to my news channel, newsletter, because you know what? There's some few things that I learn every week, every month from my guest. And I think this week I might be putting Jose on there. You will never know till you sign up for that. So figure that out, and I'll see you next time on Back to Basics. Take care. God bless.